Everybody, and welcome to the hashtag Grow Your Life live sessions, where we talk about ways to grow in your life and your business. And every morning I go live on Facebook and Instagram. So make sure to keep an eye out each morning for these live sessions. One tip or strategy that you can use to grow in your life, grow in your business. But today, what I'm going to talk about is very personal on so many levels, and it applies. The tentacles come out in every area of our life. And what that is what is holding us back, keeping us held in a lack of confidence, keeps us from going after our calling, our destiny, what we were made for. And that thing is generally something that created a system of control in our lives out of fear. And fear keeps us held in a place to where we will not make decisions and take actions to go after our calling because we are crippled by the fear, and the fear holds us into a box and we are submitting to the fear. Okay? And what happens in that is we have in our lives experiences that happen, and it creates there's actually like chemical responses in our brain. This is a natural type of a thing to keep us alive, keep us safe. It creates belief systems out of the experience to keep us safe. And that creates fear. But see, this happens with people, with situations, with usually when we're going after our destiny, we will make mistakes, possibly fail, and maybe hurt ourselves. And then it creates a fear in our lives of ever going back there again, and keeps us trapped in this cycle of wanting to go after more, knowing that we're called to go after more, but being crippled by the fear of doing so because the last time we went in that direction, it hurt. And so what you need to do that cancels out all fear is declaring absolute truth in the face of fear and not letting it control you, canceling out the fear to a point to where, I used to believe that you had to go through this long process to cancel and break off fear and all of this. And I discovered it's actually as simple as speaking truth, usually the opposite of the fear, over our lives, and making sure that our identity is aligned with the truth that God says about us. And so, let's say that you have a fear of going on video in your business, okay? That fear usually comes from you went on video, you don't like how you look, somebody might have said something in the past, you're worried people are going to judge you, or they're not going to understand what you're going to say. That fear itself is controlling you from making an action that will have a benefit to your business, and yet you're letting the fear of other people keep you from doing that. And so in that, what is the truth is I have good things to say to people. I'm beautiful. I'm wonderfully made. People like to listen to me. I'm not worried what other people think. That worry and that fear cripples us and controls us from going after our calling and our destiny. God made me, God put this inside of me. This is what I'm called to do. And so I'm going after it. Or maybe you're worried that there's an authority figure that is telling you you can't do that. Sometimes that is valid. Many times it's not. And in that, if you know that you're called to that, it's time to come out from under that worldly authority and make sure that you're aligned with heaven and the calling that God has on your life and the truth about your identity. And what you do is you're replacing the experience that created the fear, that experiential truth that told you to not go after what you're called to do, to not open your mouth, that created this control system in your life that is keeping you where you are now. And it's time to cancel that out completely, to just say, you have no place, you have no power in my life, declare that, and then speak the truth. I have been called to do this. I've been seated in heavenly places. I have all the tools I need. God's planted inside of me this, and I'm going after my destiny and calling with all that I have, regardless of that. And a lot of times we allow fear of other people to take the place of the reverence and fear of God in our lives, and it controls us from ever going after what we're called to do. We're so afraid of other people's opinions and thoughts that we never do what we were destined to do, what we were called to do. And I'm not talking about personal, selfish ambition or dreams. I'm talking about those God-sized dreams that God puts inside of us. It's our calling, our destiny, our purpose aligns with that. And that thing never changes in our life. We're born with it. And it starts to materialize. It starts to come out. Think of some moments when you felt the most alive, and then think of also where your fear is. The breakthrough in your calling and what you're called to is on the other side of that fear, and giving your fear to God, laying it aside. It's actually a false idol that we establish in our lives higher than God, and we pay homage to it. We worship our fear every time we do not do something because the fear is holding us back. And so in that, we are actually having a form of idolatry to the fear. And so what we have to do is declare the truth. This fear is a stronghold. It's being torn down. It's torn down, and it has to submit to the truth of what God says, the truth about what God says about our life, where we're called, where we're going. And it has no place to dictate our actions, our footsteps, and our decisions anymore. And in that, when you declare that truth over your life, to where the fear, and I get it. I'm talking from personal experience. I've been terrified to open my mouth to speak on this, to do that. I felt afraid that people won't understand me, that I'm going to sound silly, that I'm going to look weird talking about this. But I know that inside of me, I'm called to do this thing. And so every day I have to declare truth over my life, wake up in the morning and meditate on what is the truth about what God says about me, what I was created for, and what I'm called to do. And then what I want to do is I want to help people realize what's inside of them, and to go so much further than they ever could on their own, to help raise other people up in this. And that's why fear has no place in your life. Whatever you're letting control you by fear, you are subject to, and you're submitting to that fear and allowing it to create an entire system in your life of how you act, what you believe, what your decisions are, and your decision making is based around that. So I want you to look at that. And then I want you to look at what is the truth about your calling, how God made you, what he made you for, your identity in Christ if you're a believer. And out of that, everything else flows. You know, God's plan and purpose for your life is above anything else, any other human-sized fear. The creator of the universe is so much bigger than that. And yet we let people take the place of God in our lives. We let our own memories, our own thoughts, we let ourselves, our own fear of even failure or success, take the place of God in our lives. And in that, we are then paying homage to our fear, and we're submitting to it. And I tell you, this is what I want to encourage you today. Stop it. The fear is a lie. Whatever you're fearing is a lie. And I get it. It can feel real, very real. I've felt very real fear. But in the end of it, on the other side of that fear, when you lay it aside, is the breakthrough, the calling, and the destiny that God has for your life. And I want to encourage you that if you're afraid of something, afraid to go do something, whatever you're scared of, that you know is aligned with your calling, and you can't shake it, you can't get rid of it. It all starts with a choice to take action and a decision to go after your destiny and your calling with all that you have, and to not let the fear dictate your identity, your actions, your decisions, but for you to make a choice to go around the fear and past it entirely. and not even give it the time of day anymore. Because by giving it the time of day, you are still honoring the fear. You know, it's like when somebody says that they're 100 days, they stopped smoking. They're 100 days, they haven't taken a cigarette. They're still acknowledging that they could go back to that. But when you get past fear, you don't even acknowledge that it exists anymore, because you're going towards your calling. It has no control and no power over your life. And as long as you acknowledge it, it still has a place of power. And we have to look at that. Is this aligned with the truth, what God says about me, about where I'm going, what my calling is, what my destiny is? Declare that truth over your life. Seek wise counsel. I'm not talking about being rebellious either. Go after your calling and your destiny and grow your life today and this year. So leave me a comment below. Let me know your thoughts on this, and talk soon. Have a good one, everybody.